I'm Washington Ali, and welcome to Project Become, a project uncovering the unspoken thoughts that stop us from living a life worth living. I'm not here to tell you what to do or who to be, and I certainly don't have the answers. I'm just hoping to uncover the secrets of the world while speaking with explorers, dreamers, thinkers, and creators. I hope we all find something that helps us accept who we've become, and find something that helps us create someone we are proud of becoming. Welcome to Project Become. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, a very lovely guest, and her name is Abby Hindle. Now, Abby is a very, to me, special character because she chooses to go by no label. She chooses to be authentic and want to express her eclectic distinctions, eclectic skills, eclectic knowledge, and I thought that's why you'd be an amazing person for me to speak to and for other people to listen to as well, because you refuse to be caged. So welcome to Project Become, and I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited. I feel very special. This is like, I was like, oh, I'm going on someone else's podcast.
No, it's a real pleasure to have you here. How would you describe yourself to everyone who's going to be watching and or listening?
I think this is only recent as well. I would say over the last 2 months, so really recent. Before that, I was always kind of like, oh, I'm going to be a this, or I'm going to be known for this, or I'm going to do this. And I was trying to put myself in a box, so that's what people do. Like the world is run on niches, so you pick a niche and you stick to it, and you niche down and you go as tiny as you can. And I've always really struggled to do that. Just like naturally, I've just really struggled naturally to do it, and it only sort of became apparent and made me really think about it, like I said, about a couple of months ago. When I heard this TED talk by a person called Emily Wapnick, I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Okay.
And it was about the multipotentialite. So like somebody that's regarded as having or being multipotentiality, which is essentially, in layman's terms, just somebody that does everything and is everything and wants to be everything and learn everything. So I guess if I had to like label myself, that would be the closest thing I could come to labeling myself as. But I think it just, like, I heard that TED talk and that was it. I was deep diving. I was like, who am I? This is explaining so much to me. It's like when you hear something that you resonate with and you're like, oh my God, that is me. Going from a place where it was so hard before, and I was like, I'm such a failure. I fail at everything. I do it and then I stop doing it, and I drop out, or I change my mind, or I find something else to be interested in. And I get it, like, to someone else, I look flaky and I look like I can't stick at anything, but it's not that. It was more that I genuinely just, like, beyond any explanation, crave knowledge and crave doing things. And it's not that I just get bored and I'm like, nah, I can't be bothered. It's like I learn enough and I learn everything I can about something really quickly. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done now, next. So it's like, I'm almost like banking all this knowledge, and yeah, half of it is irrelevant. Like the stupidest things. Like I learned how to read binary code. Who needs to know that? Not me. But it was interesting, so I learned
apparently
it.
You do.
But like I learn all these things because I'm really interested in them, and I know it is a skill because I have to pick it up. But I'm also very lucky in the fact that I learn very quickly, and I just absorb. Like if you could call someone a sponge, I'm a sponge.
It just comes to you.
Yeah, and it sounds so. Like, I feel like some people would look at it and be like, it sounds quite, like, egotistical or whatever. And maybe it is, like, I'm proud of it. I am proud that I can learn, and I know that there are people that wish they could learn like I can, but I would be doing a disservice to myself if I was like, well, I can learn stuff, but I'm just not going to, because that would make me egotistical. Like, no, I've got a privilege there. I'm going to use it.
Yeah,
So I do.
100%.
So
You know,
yeah, go on.
it's powerful, and like for me listening to you, I'm not gonna lie, I'm the exact same human being. And with my mum, I've always been told I'm someone who can't complete something. Oh, Washi, have you ever started something and you've actually finished it? And it's that. For me, I've never felt guilty. I've started tech companies, I've done this, that, the other, and I've been like 2 years in, and I've had to say to my co-founder, like, hey, bro, I'm sorry, man, but like, this isn't for me. And exactly what you're saying, you've got what you needed to get from it, you know? And it's like, well, I'd call you a generalist. I call myself a generalist. It's like, well, there's all of this information, there's all of these perspectives that I want to hold on to and latch onto, and just like, for me personally, it's seeing the world through other people's lenses or other distinctions or other principles, and really being able to like enjoy that, you know, with no judgment, with no pressure, and just be like, oh, okay, so and so thinks this. Does it resonate? A little bit, some of it does, and then move on to the next thing, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to know, like, you've always been like that, and you felt a sense of I'm going to call it shame. You can change the word if you'd like to.
No, it's shame. It was shame. Yeah.
So, like, tell me, before, what cultivated that in you? Actually, is there something that was like? Have you always been curious, or is it like a TED Talk moment that you had younger, or is it your mum, who's such a lovely woman, or what is it that made you think? Not even made you think. What is it that do you think that niggled that itch? Is just like, I've got to learn. I've got to want that.
Well, a few years ago, I did I don't know if we've ever spoken. I think we must have spoken about it. The Enneagram. And I did that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I came out as a number 5. And basically my whole makeup is I have to know things. So and I think it is innate in me. Like, it's just, people are different people. The world would be very boring if we were all the same person. But I think it just is an innate thing in me that I have to know, and I have to learn and gather, and like, I'm like a person, like I'm like foraging for berries, but the berries are knowledge. Like, I need to know everything. Even down to like, you know, someone will mention one word or a book, and I'll be straight in there, and I've bought the book, I've read the book, I've researched everything about the author. That doesn't serve anybody. It's just settling something inside me, and I'm like, you have to know everything about this one thing. And I think, like you were saying about the shame thing, it is such a gift to want to learn, because there are people that don't want to learn, and equally there are people that aren't as lucky and don't have the opportunity to learn. So it is a gift to me that I want to, and that I can. And like I said earlier, I think I'd be doing a disservice to myself and potentially other people if I didn't learn what I want to learn, because I can pass on knowledge just like I can learn it. But
Yeah,
I think with the shame thing, it's funny because, shocker, the Multipotentialite took another avenue and started writing a book about multipotentiality. And I was writing in it about shame, and it's like, shame, it doesn't benefit anybody. It's not an emotion that benefits. Fear benefits. It's a natural response. Your body fears something because it wants to keep you safe. Shame doesn't do that. Shame does nothing but make you feel bad. And shame is learned. Like, it's not an innate fear. Like, fear is something that we have, that, like, from the monkey brain, that tells us, oh, if you do that, you're going to be in danger. You have to. Shame doesn't exist like that. Shame exists in the 24 in this century, in this world, in this universe, in humanity, and it's learned. And I think it's the shame that I felt was taught because I was that person from an early age, because it was innate in me, and I wanted to learn everything. Like, I was that annoying kid, like in English, that had read the whole book before they got onto page 30, and I wanted to do the extra worksheet. Like, I'm that kid. I can't help it. That's who I was. It's who I am. And that, like, kids can I swear on this or not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
kids can be dicks. Yeah. So, like, they're going to be like, oh, you're such a nerd, you blah, blah, blah. And you learn shame for wanting more knowledge. You learn shame as a kid for wanting to be the kid that wants to do the work, because that's not cool. And that's all learned. And then when you get older and the world tells you, well, pick a path when you're 16 and stick to that path for 50 years, I'm like, what? You want me to choose now?
Doesn't make any sense.
When you won't even let me drink a glass of wine, you want me to choose now what I'm going to be doing when I'm 45? I don't think so. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to be doing next week. Last week it changed. I can't make that decision. And for some people that works. Like, credit where credit's due. And there are people that pick a job or pick a career or like a path. They stick to it. They work it out. Props to those people. I have nothing against it, and I think it's commendable. But it's just not me. I just can't do that. And I used to try to do that. And then that was where it was like, oh, you're flaky. Or, oh, you change your mind too much. Or you just need to settle for something. And I'm like, the realization, I mean, this realization probably came about 2 years ago. But recently with the TED Talk thing, I was just like, it's my life. Why am I going to settle for anything? Like, exactly. How does that make any sense? If I have to live this life and you don't, how dare you tell me to settle for something? But,
exactly. And the funny thing is, it takes so much audacity to even start thinking like that, because everyone else around you, where the shame kicks in, is like, well, who do you think you are? Why do you think you can do that? And they send all of these outward signals, outward messages to you to, as you're saying, put you in a box, as you're saying, to make you retract from life. And I think where you're at is so powerful, and the message you have to share for other people is so powerful, because it's away from cynicism and resignation. Because you can be, so many people are so cynical towards the world, whether it's cynical towards vaxxers, anti-vaxxers, cynical towards race, cynical towards gender and sex, cynical towards what I eat for breakfast, bro. Like, why do you care so much about what I eat for breakfast? And then that cynicism causes resignation. It's just like, well, because I'm so worried about what other people think about me, and also I'm scared to be judged the same way I judge other people, I'm going to play my life so safe. I'm going to show up to the rest of the world like, I know what I'm going to be doing next week. I know what I'm going to be doing for the next 10 years of my life. And it's like, I'm so, like, when we were messaging earlier on today, I was just like, no, that's it. That is really, for me personally, that's the essence of being human. That's the essence of pure creativity, the essence of being unlimited, because it's like, well, no, I'm not going to allow anything to stop me. It seems like what you're sharing as well is like, you'll find a way to figure anything out. And I feel as if that, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, that spreads out to when you encounter problems in your life that aren't necessarily recreational learning, but more about, okay, well, there is this problem, and can I work around this situation? And also, it sounds like you're willing to share what your emotions are as well. So is that true?
Yeah, I mean, with the definitely share my emotions. I think, like I said before we started, I think the world has been made so inauthentic, and everything looks good, but nothing actually is good. So, like, and I can honestly say now, and I know I'm very lucky to be able to say now, genuinely, what I'm putting out is how I feel. I feel great. I think, I might not have, I'm everything I want to be at this moment, and I know if I'm not it right now, I am going to be it. Ask me that 2 years ago, I'd have been lying to your face. Because I was playing into the inauthenticity, but also I wasn't happy. But if
Mm.
like something comes up that is a problem, I have this philosophy, I guess you could call it. It's like
Mm.
the problem exists, right? If a problem happens, that's done. That bit's in the past. The problem exists. Either you
Mhm.
let that problem affect you and you can't stop it, so you just have to sit there and brace and wait till it's over, or you change it. You have two
Mhm.
options. And
Mm.
I one of my various job paths that I was going to do, I started a YouTube channel and I filmed 4 videos and then stopped. I would like to go back to it, but I think it was more I wanted to like dip my feet in, see what it's about, leave it for a year,
Test
come
out the
back.
waters.
But I filmed like my own TED talk kind of thing on it, and it was about how, I don't know if I should put a trigger warning, but trigger warning if that's necessary. But it was about how. Go on. Did you want to say something?
I just want to say, apparently, saying trigger warning before you give a triggering something is actually more harmful to the person listening.
Oh, what shall I
So
say?
please continue to say what you're going to say. Please continue. No,
Okay.
no, please continue.
It was
But like, I thought it was cool to know that because,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
one of the cool
cool.
things
Well,
about
I'll know that for future. I probably should Google that and see if there's something better to say, because half the stuff I do talk about, I guess, could be triggering because it's just what I went through, but it's
mm,
also real. Um,
mm,
but so what I was going to say was I think it was like about 2 years ago now. It was literally as all this lockdown stuff begun, and I
mm,
probably hit like the lowest point that I'd been at for a long time. I don't think it was my lowest. It was just the lowest for a while kind of thing. And it was one
mm,
of those points where I kind of got there and I was I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. And I was like, okay, you
mm,
have 2 choices. Kill yourself or change it. Like that you can put what's the phrase? Put glitter on shit as much as you want. You have 2 choices. Change it
mm,
or do what you want to do and kill yourself. Make a choice. And
mm,
it was like almost that part where I was like, okay, final last ditch attempt. Fine. One last time.
mm,
Because it's not the first time.
mm,
Like, I don't know. We probably haven't actually spoken about it, but way before like now. So I'm talking like 6, 7, 8 years ago. It's probably longer. I don't know. Don't even know what year it is. I I've struggled with that kind of thing all my life. And this isn't the first time I'm gonna be healthy. And then it didn't stick. And then I'm gonna be this. And then
mm,
I mean, like I was saying a minute ago, I can't stick at anything. I'd fail eventually. But with that
mm,
plus trauma plus life happening plus every other thing, I never really got round to actually achieving that like health, happiness, the actual change your life bit I needed to do. And this time round I did, but
mm,
it all came down to the fact that I like gave myself one choice and one last time. So it was literally like,
mm,
now it's not even in my psyche, but for the first, I don't know, 6 months, 9 months, a year, it was always in the back of my head. I was like, if you fail this time, you're done. It's like you've expired. That's it, you're done.
mm.
So either you fail
Shit.
or you don't. But if you fail this time, that's it. And I think
Mm,
it it's been a compounding thing of me actually being healthy, first of all, because I think I was always striving for, like, I've always been overweight, for example. So I was always striving for health in my head, which was skinny, and not health,
mm,
which was healthy because your body works. And I was forgetting about
mm,
the health that is mental and emotional, and forgetting about the health that is spiritual and material, because all those things make health, right?
mm.
There's like for
Yeah.
another book I'm writing, all those things make health, and I like forgot about that, and I was focused on one thing. And then I loved spinning, so I went spinning every day for 8 months, and then I stopped and I never went back because that's who I am. So all this
Mm,
time for the last 2 years or whatever it was, I was just learning about myself, which just comes back to me wanting to know everything. And it was the most important thing I did, because I can, without question, tell you I know myself inside out. And that's not like I know who I am and you can't tell me otherwise. It's like, I know what my triggers are. I know what my like shadow dark side is that nobody really wants to talk about. I know where my genuine health stands, where my mental health stands. I know everything I want out of life. I know who I want to be. I know who I am right now. I know all that stuff. All the Enneagram stuff, that the multipotentialite thing. So knowing all that stuff, and I think I was just playing into, which I wasn't doing before, and then I learned to play into the genuine innate desire I need to know things. I was focusing it on everything else, but I needed to know about me, and then I could learn all the things I wanted to learn. And yeah, maybe not stick at them, but not cause myself such stress for not sticking at them. And I don't know if you're the same, as you said about like making a company and then getting what you need out of it and stuff like that. But it can feel stressful because people like rely on you, like especially when you start a company. But when it's employment as well, like you get to a point. I wanted to work in TV. That was my one goal. I did it, and then I was like, nah. And then I worked in film, and then I was like, yeah, love this, love films. And then I was like, nah, I want to be a PA. Then I was a PA, and then I was like, and then like, I know I went back to screenwriting films, but like I also went back to 10 other things. But it wasn't like, at the time people were relying on me. I was doing jobs for other people. Like
what's special about that is you're able to understand your responsibilities and your commitments, and also understand what you need, which isn't a bad thing. And it seems like you're able to express those, have those conversations with the people you were in relationship with in such a way that it didn't break down the relationship, in a way that allowed them to allowed you both to separate, or all parties involved to separate in a well-mannered way.
I think that it wasn't always as civil as that. But I think it came down to assessing whether I valued that relationship or myself more. And that is something that I still do. And sometimes it's not that easy. And sometimes it's more like, do you value the relationship, or is it you need to create a space that's safe for yourself? So you're going to let that take a back seat for now so that you can focus on this. Like, I'm in a very privileged...
Well, I would like to add to that. I'd like to add to that, because I don't think it's, of course, it's how much do you value the relationship, but like knowing you as a person, I think you always value the relationship. I think there's also a point in time where it comes up to the other person to be like, oh, do they value the relationship? You know, and are they taking it, I'm going to say, are they taking it personally, or are they seeing it as like, oh, wait, okay, Abby's done what she can in this space right now, and she doesn't feel like she can add more to this or give more to this, or she just doesn't want to. And there's nothing wrong with that. And seeing that there, you know. And I just wanted to touch on the fact that you, over the 2-year period when you made that choice to either make a shift or to self-delete, that you through that whole entire journey, first you gave yourself a choice and you identified what you wanted, but then you went on the journey to understand yourself and truly understand yourself and sit down and be like, okay, what tools do I have? Similarly to you, I used Enneagram. I'm a number 8, by the way.
Oh, really?
Which is quite... which is really weird, because like I went into numerology as well, which I'm also a life path 8, which is really weird. I don't think they're related at all, by the way. But they are very similar in values.
Yeah.
I went into astrology. I went
the
into...
number 8 is the sign of wealth and abundance and affinity, so maybe it all works out for you.
Yeah, hopefully. And then, ironically, now I've actually detached myself from all of those things, because I now recognize them as, I needed those things to help me get to a level of security in myself,
Yeah.
of understanding with myself and trust within myself. And then now I'm like diving way deeper into what's my philosophy, what's my personal philosophy, and what world am I heading into. And like, but before you got into that space, you said that you were playing into your inauthenticities. And I really, really want to know, in your world, in your perspective, what does it look like to play into your inauthenticities?
I
Or what does it
think
even mean
that
to play into your
it doesn't necessarily look like anything, it's how it feels. And you know in your gut when you're like, if you were, like, I'm vegan, right? Nobody's telling me to be vegan. I could change my mind tomorrow. If I really wanted to, I could go have a bacon sandwich. Like, nobody's holding me accountable for that. If I was to eat meat or something that wasn't vegan, I feel that in my gut because that's wrong for me. That is my who I am. That's who I've decided that's who I am. If I went and did that, I know that feels wrong. It doesn't look wrong to anyone else because there's people that eat meat, there's people that don't. It just is like a person having a bacon sandwich. I'm never going to do that because that's just not who I am. And I think that plays it, like what I was saying about the 4 pillars of health. One of the things about spiritual health is identifying it's not just like meditating and praying if you pray or whatever it is. It's like figuring out what your ethos, your values, who you want to be in the world, figuring out who that is, then aligning yourself with that. And when you're not aligned with that, you're not spiritually healthy, you're not balanced in that sense. So I don't think it outwardly looked like I was being false. It just felt like I was. So then naturally I radiated an energy that probably was uninviting because I had like a natural argument inside my own head. I was like, but you're not the person you're meant to be, so you can't let anyone in because when you present yourself in front of people, you're just lying to everyone. And I think you feel that it's a gut thing. It's in your soul. It's something that you know to be true. And at the time, it served me. I'm not going to say it didn't serve me because it did. I had to be that person to do what I was doing. I had to be that person. I was a PA, right? That's not an easy job at all. It's also not an easy job to do if you're going to be a person that's very authentic and wants to only be yourself and not care about anyone else and only care about yourself. You can't do that job and do that. Or not at least how I was doing it. And but I needed those jobs. At the time I needed the job. So I couldn't be the person. I couldn't do that job now. And I have people now that say to me, but you were so good at being a PA, why don't you go back and do that? And I couldn't fathom anything worse. Not because I hate the people I worked for, not that at all. It's not who I am anymore because it just doesn't align with me. I value what I've created in myself and the world that I've created for me more than that. And I know I'm in a place of privilege right now where I don't have to take a job I don't want. But I'm going to use that privilege because what would be the point in it if not? Like, somebody else doesn't have that privilege and they would love it. So I want who knows, maybe me using this privilege is going to give somebody else the opportunity in the future to have that privilege with what I do from now on. And I think that the inauthentic world that, especially with social media, that creates it's damaging, first of all. And it goes back to that shame thing of like making other people feel shame or making you feel shame because you're not living up to what you see. I'm not living up to all those
the
people.
Dubai lifestyle.
Yeah, and I'm not like, I see people. I made that new Instagram and I followed consciously on it. My other Instagram, I follow 1,000 odd people. That's not realistic. I follow maybe 200 at the minute. And that's more aligned with me because I'm like, who do I want to follow? Who do I want to see? I don't want to see all these people that are like, one, not aligned with me, but also people that are just going to be not playing into or playing against what I think I should be doing. And like, now I've come to that decision. I'm like, I'm going to be doing exactly what I want to do. There are people that I went to school with that I know that are amazing, and they've got like a job role that they've studied for and they've got into, and they're going to be doing that for probably a very long time. Props to them, amazing to them. I'm never going to be that person. They've managed to do this job for this long. Like, I'm 26 now, so they've likely been doing these jobs since they were like 18. So 8 years, whatever. They've gotten to this point, they're buying houses, they're getting married. That's not me. Like, it's not who I am right now, because I haven't had that stability for other reasons, but also the reason because I don't want it. I don't want one thing.
You've just touched on something so powerful there, wanting the stability, right? I don't think anyone has ever enjoyed their life when it's completely stable. And when I mean stable,
and predictable.
I mean wake up, predictable. Yes. And I'm so happy you articulated it in that way, because I would rather live a life of creativity and chaos. And when I say chaos, I mean things happening, things going right, really overly right, things going wrong, and me having to fix that, and being in that middle and being in that mess, because that allows discovery. It allows opportunity for something to happen that has possibly never happened before, and it allows me to discover something about myself in a new way that I've probably never even experienced before. And I'm not gonna be bored. Like, am I just here just to like go to work, do shit, go to school, go? Do you know what I mean?
People that they genuinely love what they do. And I worked for Tony Mascolo, the guy that owned Tony & Guy, and he always used to say, if you do what you love, the money will follow. So don't worry about it. Just find the thing that you love and do it. There are some people, I don't care if it's a roofer, an office job, a painter, whatever it is, people love their jobs. And I have nothing against that. If you love your job, you do what you want. Who am I to tell you to do something? It's your life. Do it. Equally, those people have the stability. They create stability. They want stability. They want to know that they go on holiday this many times a year to this place, and they go to this place with their partner, whatever. That is their happiness. That is the life they want to live. For people like you and me, that doesn't cut it. That is like, might as well put me in a cave. I have no interest in that. And I think it's what the world was designed for those people. The world as it is, as in the economic world, so the live, work, eat, play. The world is designed for those people. It's not designed for people like me and you. It's not designed for people that have no interest in that kind of thing. Everyone wants stability. Humans want stability. I find stability in things that I enjoy doing for a period of time. That's my stability. For someone else, that means a house, a car, a job that pays them a wage. For me, that's none of that. But whatever one you choose, like that, you're meant to be doing that. If you're genuinely actively choosing it, that's the one you're meant to be doing. I'm actively choosing to do the one that, like you said, it has opportunities for growth that come out of left field and punch you in the face because you weren't expecting that. Like, even this, like me making that Instagram, I didn't have the pipeline to Washington inviting me on his podcast. That wasn't planned. This was a happy accident. It was, don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful, but it wasn't a plan. And it's like, that never would have happened had I stuck with the Instagram and done what people had said and been like, but why don't you were so good at what you did. Why don't you go, or why don't you find, you want to write, so like I want to write screenplays, film scripts. Well, why don't you go and get a job at, no. Why would I do that? I want to write film scripts. I don't want to work a job 5 days a week, live for the weekend, rinse and repeat on Monday. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to do that as part of my thing, my life, but I also want to be able to do this and this and this. And it's that, weirdly, that freedom that gives me stability, which you probably feel as well, because I know you do. You're the same. You started the Project Become and your Instagram and stuff like that. You have these different facets that in a way give you stability, because that's where you find your stability.
I find stability within the chaos and the output, that what I can give to the world, what I can create. Like literally, I make music as well. Like being able to sit on my laptop, do this, and like create something and contribute something to the world, to people, gives me fuel. And if I'm restricted to a 9-to-5 job, that means that, listen, that doesn't give me the freedom to pick my baby brother and sister from school. It doesn't give me the freedom to just get off my desk at 3 p.m. because I fancy going to the gym, or I want to do a backflip in the garden, even though I can't do backflips, you know what I mean? Or learn how to do backflips, you know? Facts. So it doesn't give, that freedom is so essential, and and I'll use another word, it gives me power. And not power as in, oh, I get to control the rest of the world. It gives me power because it gives me power in the sense that I have a say in the matter of my life. Like, I actually can say, oh, wait, today, ABCD, tomorrow, ABCD. Oh, wait, let me change that, ABCD. Oh, Abby, so what's happening with your Instagram page? I'm not sure. Like, I want to understand more. Like, tell me what's going on. Oh, wow, that's so interesting. Do you want to hop on a call tonight? Do you know what I mean? Like, like, these things, as you're saying, can't be created. Well, they can be created. And let me remove that boundary. They can be created, but they're not, they are not being created in the way that I'd love them to just happen through excitement and energy. Yeah. And I was listening to what you're saying, and what popped up for me is that I'm really, really curious to, like, obviously the world has its order, and I believe that the order that the world has gives it a certain structure. It allows people to create beliefs. It allows people to create that spiritual meaning that you were sharing of earlier, and it allows other people to figure out life in a way that is, I guess, given to them. They don't have to try too hard. They know they can go to church. They can follow a religion, or they know that they can, I don't know, look into Buddhism, and they'll be able to discover some sort of meaning, right? So how does someone create meaning, or how does someone create rules for themselves and for a life that can involve other people? Another way of putting it, how can other people create a life like ours, like yours, without becoming absolutely hateful towards society, or not wanting to contribute to society, and realize all of these things that are actually important, but when going to school you feel like, oh, I don't want to do that because, like, fuck you, fuck all of you, something's wrong here. How do people get to that space of, I'm going to call it love and compassion, and love and compassion, without the natural or normal rule books of religion, of society, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think, like you said, rules and structure 100% serves a place. Like, humanity needs that to a degree. I do, however, think that rules and structure need place to move and grow, and the goalposts need to be moved as and when. And especially with, like, if you look at the last 10 years, even, probably 20 years, but let's go with the last 10 years. If you had told somebody 10 years ago that somebody's job could be posting on Instagram, they'd laughed at you. That can't be a full-time job. 100%. Now it is. That exists. That is a thing. When the all the lockdown started, and everyone started buying up, what was it, Animal Crossing? People.
Oh yeah, the land there.
Yeah, people were making full-time jobs out of designing Animal Crossing houses. Anything is possible. You can do In this world now, anything is possible, mostly because of the internet. That wasn't a thing. Go back 70 years when people had to go out to work, and they had to go to like the factory, whatever it was, the office, the whatever. That wasn't a possibility. So the structure as it stood then worked. Doesn't work now, because you're telling kids that are growing up and at 16 having to decide their life path that they have to pick something that worked 70 years ago, forgetting the fact that if you're smart and savvy and you post a bit on Instagram about something you're interested in, you can create a whole business, a whole career revolving around that. You don't have to go to work. And it's like there needs to be freedom to move those rules. And I think that what you said about how do people come at it from like a place of love and compassion for everyone else, I think that it's probably the most important bit if you're going to decide that you want to live for yourself, because a lot of people will say living for yourself is selfish. And I know I've heard that, and it's like, I can be insufferable and I can be selfish and too rigid. And I'm like, am I too rigid, or are you just not accepting who I'm saying I am or what I want? Or are you just not understanding of that? And that's a reflection on them, not me, because I've made that choice. I've made a conscious choice to understand myself and know who I want to be and who I'm going to put myself forward as. And it's funny because a couple of days ago, you know me, I like a bit of spiritual stuff and working with the moon and all that kind of stuff. And a few days ago, there was that Leo full moon, and I like locked myself in my room. And I basically like opened up my journal and I wrote all these prompts, and then I just worked on them like all night, not all night, till like 11. But it was, who am I? First of all, I was like, so who am I? If somebody was like, who are you? Tell me who you are. I was like, right, this is who I am. This is what I want out of life. This is what I'm going to be. And then it was, how do I want to be seen? And it was like, how I want to be seen is going to be different to who I am, because who I am, I want to be that person innately, but I might want to be seen in a slightly different way. And it was, I'm a sucker for Pinterest, so I made some Pinterest boards. And it was like, how do I want to be seen? For somebody that their passion is music, that is all they're going to do. They want to be seen as a musician. They want to be seen as creative. They want that. If they were to make that mood board, it is going to predominantly be about music. For me, it was so eclectic, but it was so authentic in who I am, because I was like, well, I want to be seen as a scriptwriter and a film director, but I also want to be seen as a boss, but I also want to be seen as in my feminine energy. So my like receptive energy, my nurturing, but I also want to be seen in my masculine energy, because you're not taking that away from me. Like, I also want to be seen as I can be a boss. I can be the person in charge. I can lead and I can do all that stuff. I can do both those things. So I want to be seen as being able to do that. It doesn't mean that I want people to be scared of me or not like me or anything. It's just, it's almost like, this is who I am. This is who I'm going to be. This is who I'm going to be seen as. If you don't like it, you're not meant to be in my life. And it's not, I don't have a thing against anybody that doesn't want to be in my life. Because yes, I am rigid, because I am stuck in exactly what I want, but it's not from a place of, this is the only thing I want and nobody's changing my mind. It's, I'm stuck in my authenticity. So if somebody doesn't want to be around that, I'm like, okay, so you want to be around the fake version of me, not the real me. If you don't want to be around the real me, this isn't going to work, because I'm only going to be the real me. Yes. But I don't have anything against, like, there's people, I also think there's relationships and jobs and all that kind of stuff that is meant to be fleeting and temporary, and you get something from it and then it moves on. And I've had a lot of very close friendships and relationships that I don't even speak to anymore. And it's not that I sit here and I'm like, oh, fuck that person. I'm like, we moved apart. And also, I know I'm not the same person I was when they knew me. They probably wouldn't like who I am now, but that's fine by me, because they will live their life happy as they want to live it. I'm going to live my life separately from that. But what's the point in
pretending?
Yeah, and also, what's the point in criticizing people for not wanting to be around somebody? Because there's definitely people that I'm like, no, I want to be around you. They're probably looking at me like, oh, bitch. Yeah, fine. If that's what you want to think, fine, because it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
But I'm just making that conscious decision. I don't want to be around that person or in that space.
What you're saying is super important, because it really touches on having standards.
Yeah.
It really touches on having a way that you view yourself and a way of being that you wish to uphold, right? So that means that what you've done is, this is who Abby is, this is what Abby represents, and also this is how how Abby would like to be seen by the world. Excuse me. And with that gives you your values, like you're saying, at the spiritual level, and that also gives you a guiding direction to how to be, how to act, and how to really, I guess, contain yourself and your creativity, and present yourself and package yourself to the rest of the world, and package yourself as someone who is unlimited, as someone who is just ready to just be with whatever there is, and also not be with whatever you don't want to be with. And I guess what's strumming in my mind now is that how do you have those worksheets that other people can find so that they can do a similar exercise that you've just shared? Because the exercise you've just shared is actually very, very profound, because not a lot of people, a lot of people I know think about themselves and how they occur to the rest of the world, and they look for their blocks and things like that. But I don't really think they ask the question, maybe to themselves and also to other people, about how do they actually see themselves. And I remember at one point in my life, I actually had to do just that. I had to ask, like, the people, of course, I trust, right? I'm not going to just ask like randomers. It's just ask anyone. But like people who are trusted relatively well, I asked them, like, hey, what do you think of me? Like, what is your perception of who Washington Ali is? And having that insight really provided, like, in some places I was like, yeah, cool, like, these guys get me. And then in some places I got the, oh, Washi is unreliable. He's reliable when he wants to be, but he's unreliable at times. He's this, he's that. And other parts of me that I didn't really knew actually came across. And that also gave me an opportunity to cross-reference what I had on myself, and then also what other people had. And since there were people that I trusted, I took that with, always taking it with a pinch of salt. I was like, okay, let me balance this. Let me see how much of this is true, and then course correct if I felt like I needed to. And I, quite frankly, like, they were real with me. So I was just like, okay, let me adjust here, adjust there, and make that happen. So
it's, it's really funny because we played this game, my family played this game at Christmas, and it was one of those superlative games. And it was like most, like, funniest,
what does that mean?
You know, like the funniest person, and we all had to choose who the funniest was. And we played it, and it was like quite funny. And then there was a few that came up, and it was like most selfish. And I was like, it's obviously me. And for someone else, they'd be like, I'm not selfish. And I remember my stepdad said it to me, and like I've just remembered it since he said it. And he was like, there was so many that you were like, yeah, that's me. And it was like most creative. And I was like, I know that is who I am. It's a quote unquote good trait. Selfish isn't a quote unquote good trait. But I was like, yeah, I am selfish. I know I am. And he was like, you've almost got that good balance of, you know, what those points in you are. I'm not saying that, like, I actively try to give and try, but I am selfish because I want to be. Like it's a conscious decision for me to be selfish. And I'm not selfish in a way that it's like, not that I have to explain it to anybody, but I'm not selfish in a way that I'm like, oh, this is my thing and you can't have any of that. It's selfish in a way that it's more like, well, this is more important to me, so sorry, that's going to have to go by the
My
wayside.
audio has just disappeared. Give me 2 seconds. I sorry about
That's
this.
all
I
right.
didn't put my laptop on Do Not Disturb. Let me stop the record.
Okay.
Uh,
No, the answer was no, I don't have a forms, and I think that was almost on purpose because I think that, look, this is what I've learned with, like, especially my like healthy journey of getting healthy and all that kind of stuff. There is not a one size fits all for everybody, and I think a degree of it people need to come to realizations on their own. And it's not about like, well, if you eat this breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day and do this workout every day, you will look exactly like I will. Bullshit. It's not real. It's not true. And it's not possible. And I think that especially now people, and especially the like diet weight loss industry, capitalizes on that, and they're like, this is the blueprint. There is no blueprint. There doesn't exist. And you can't make a blueprint. And going back to the multi-potentiality thing, like we were saying, the kind of person we are, how do you make a blueprint for somebody that is going to make their own blueprint? Like, if I made a blueprint, that's not going to mean shit to you because you're like, yeah, great, thanks, Abby. Doesn't mean anything to me because I'm a completely different, every interest I have is completely different to you. So that doesn't mean anything. But the one thing that I would say is knowing who I am 100% without question, not only gave me like a power to be like, these are my boundaries, this is what I won't settle for, this is what I'm aiming for, this is what I want out of life, but also the power to be like, well, if my innate thing is to want to gather knowledge, I have to constantly gather knowledge. So how can I do that? And you have to kind of figure that out for yourself. And I feel like it's more learn absolutely everything about yourself and then sit down and do those 6 journal prompts that are like, who am I? How do I want the world to see me? What do I want out of life? And what is my purpose? And I think the purpose bit is the bit that throws people like you and me off, because it's like, what the fuck is my purpose?
Yeah.
And
like, what do you mean, bro? Like, what did you talk about?
yeah,
What do you mean, bro?
I'm like, how do you decide on a purpose? That's crazy. And it was almost the thing that I was constantly striving for. And I was like, I need to find my purpose. I need to find my purpose. I need to find. And I'm like, I'm trying to find something that doesn't exist. And in a way, me figuring out that I have no one purpose was my purpose. Because my purpose is to not have a purpose. My purpose is to have all the purposes and do all the things and do all the things I want to do and go down all the, like, every time I get a little like brain worm that's like, hey, research this little thing and find this out. And I'm like, okay. And then it takes me somewhere else for 6 months.
Yeah.
That lack of purpose gives me purpose, because then I have 100 purposes. And it's like, I need the freedom to be like, or I needed the knowledge to work out that I had the freedom to be like, hey, I don't have a purpose and that's okay. Because everybody wants to tell you that everyone has a purpose, and I don't think that's true. I think some people don't have a purpose.
Ooh. Okay. I think that everyone has a purpose, and that, so this is just a side note, but I think other people's purposes are bigger bigger and smaller. And what I mean by that is that someone's purpose could literally be, I don't know, a boss our CEO, or I don't know, a house dad or a house parent, and that could be your purpose. And I think the word, like for me, I know purpose is such a grandiose word because I got introduced to it in a way that so many influential people were using it. I discovered my purpose and I'm this big character and I make this amount of money, or I make this much difference to all these people. And I think that they don't do, I don't think they do it intentionally. I don't think it happens intentionally, but like the message that I receive as a consumer is that, oh, my purpose must be big and must be large. And I wanted to backtrack on what you said a bit, because I think that you can create something that isn't one size fits all. And the reason why I say that is because that's what I do in my work. And I have a system that takes people from point A to point B. And all that system is just a way for, if let's say our conversation has been flowing so excellently, right, that I haven't had to be like, oh, what do you think about the world? What do you think where the world's going to go? Because it's been naturally happening within the conversation. And those are the things that I actually want to touch on, right? But I haven't had to touch on them because the conversation was just flowing and it's going that way. However, for some people, I do believe, like with your journal prompts, they do need someone to, well, they don't need, well, actually, no, I think they do need, because I'm that type of person that actually needs someone at a stage. So I'll do a lot of work on my own, and then I need someone to add, I guess, more learning, more life to that.
It's like a video game. Like you travel so far and then you need to get to like the magician that's going to tell you your next thing and give you the next like bit to put in your bag. Literally
the next book, like literally today, probably one of the reasons I messaged you is because I found this new book called The Ultimate Coach, and it's like called the book, and the underneath name is called The Book of Being. And the guy that talks about it, his name's Steve Harrisden, is such a larger than life, compassionate character. So when I say larger than life, I mean that he really gives a fuck. Right, but he doesn't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? He's like Sadhguru. Like Sadhguru will like travel around the world to make sure he changes the world, but he doesn't give a fuck whether like you're gonna like try and offend him or this, like the other type of thing. You know, that type of vibe, that type of solitude inside. You know. And then I went on down like a YouTube rabbit hole about other people who said stuff about him, other people who were connected to him, and I found this other guy. I forgot his name, but absolutely fucking amazing guy. I think his name's Steven. Probably wrong. And Steven, going through Steven's content, I was like, whoa. And then I sent Steven a DM and I was like, yo, Steven, like, bro, like, just watch your shit. And like, I was fucking touch moved inspired. And then and then I was like, yo, what books do you have? And then now I'm like into Taoism. I was into philosophy. Now I'm into Taoism. That I literally ordered the book today, 20 minutes after speaking to him, and now I'm gonna be in the new rabbit hole for the next 6 months, like you're sharing, you know. So it's like,
I feel you.
You know, so it's like for me, I feel like you're right. The video game analogy is spot on. But being conscious of time, I've got 4 questions that I'd love to ask you. That I'd love you to answer them in as simple form as possible. Not for you.
10 words or less.
Well, not for you, but for the you that is watching or listening to this video, to listen to it as if it's them. If that made any sense to anybody. So the first question, it's actually only 2 questions. So you've already shared with us who you have become, a culmination of your experiences. And funny enough, we didn't even dive deep into everything that's happened within your life. So I'd love to invite you back. But
Done.
It's woo. But it's what is going to become of Abby Hindle? Like, who are you going to be in the future? And answer that in any way that you'd like.
Tough question to ask when you don't know what you're going to be doing next week.
Not doing though, but being like.
No, I know what you mean.
Oh, okay, cool. Gang.
I think that I've got you. I think that the activity I did the other day when I said I made that Pinterest board, that is who I'm going to be, because I give myself no other option. So, like, if you don't have a plan B, your only option is plan A. That's how I work. I'm like, yes, I might make 45 plan A's, but I'm only ever going to have plan A. There's never going to be well, if that doesn't work, we'll do this. No, we're going to do this and exhaust every option until it works. And I think the only thing that I ever want to be is authentic. And honestly, if I could say that, if I could meet myself in 10 years and find that I am the person I am now, I would be happy, because I am wholly, honestly and truthfully content and happy with who I am now. Yes, situations can change. Yes, the external can change. Like you said, it's not about what I'm doing. It's about who I am. As long as I am the person that is living authentically and the truth that I'm living now in 10 years, 20 years, the future, whatever the future is, I'm happy, and that's who I want to be. So essentially, my answer is the exact same person I am now.
Powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then my second question is, excuse me, what do you think is going to become of the world? This can be a hope, an idea, a speculation, whatever.
Okay. I think, well, there's two different. I hope the world ends up in the way I think it's going to end up. And I hope it or not ends up.
What's that?
Who knows when it's going to end, but grows to be. The way that it is now, where there's no, or there's less divide. And I know, don't get me wrong, I'm not stupid, I'm not naive. There is still so much divide in wage gap and in everything, made very apparent in, well, everyday life. But there is still so much divide. But I think that, and I hope that, the world becomes a place that there isn't space for that much divide. Because if a kid can post some videos on TikTok and become a millionaire by the time they're 18, I love that world. Because money and fortune, and it shouldn't be gatekept by the people that have it. It should be open to everybody. There's plenty. It's money. There's plenty of it for everybody. There's plenty of screen time for everybody. Anybody that tells you that a market's oversaturated is lying to you. No market's oversaturated, because if you're not in it and it's what you want to be in, it's not oversaturated yet. It's not oversaturated until you're in it. So I hope, and I think, with the way, especially with like social media and stuff like that, it gives people that wouldn't otherwise have the option to become these people, to become these quote unquote celebrities and influencers. It gives those people that chance to put their self out in the world, and put their authentic selves out in the world. And I hope, bottom line, I just hope everything, the divides and the gaps close and the authenticity grows. All right. But that's like the main thing. I hope that, and I do think that the way the world is going, we are able to become who we want to be and be who we want to be and live how we want to live, but also not to the expense of somebody else and somebody else's life. And essentially everybody can do whatever the fuck they want. That's the world that I want to live in. I don't know about anyone else.
That sounds pretty lit, man. That sounds pretty dope, you know?
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, listen, Abby, like, it's been absolutely amazing speaking to you. Your viewpoint,
and
your
you,
exploration.
I feel like we could have gone on for hours. Honestly.
Honestly, we can, but I did a poll on my Instagram, and my Instagram was like, yo, you better cut that shit at 1 hour, man. You better cut that. You know, so thank you so much for being here.
Hour-long podcast walk.
Oh, that'd be hard, but like, I'm scared of the wind. But again, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.